Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild walkthrough. So this is the isolated Plateau quest, which will span a couple of videos. Most of the quests in this game, for the main quest anyway, are pretty lengthy, but for the most part they are a lot of fun. So here we're going to be going after these shrines, and there are 4 of them on this plateau, which we don't learn quite yet, but we're going to be going straight for this first one, which is a pretty good way to kind of get you to realize, okay, I can just walk there, I can walk anywhere I want to go. I don't have to do these things in order, but it's probably a good idea if I do. And as this guy says, he will give you your paraglider, or his paraglider, if you get the treasure from that place. Now first we're going to take a little bit of a detour, and we're going to come over here and kill these enemies, and then we're going to try to get a Hyrulean bass from one of the ponds here. Catching fish is a little bit annoying, but I'll talk about that in a second. So these enemies will be on these outposts in some of these camps, and they'll kind of look around. If they see you when you're not sneaking, and you can sneak by crouching, if they see you, then they'll alert everybody else and come straight after you. But early on in this game, if you shoot him in the face with an arrow and make sure it's a direct face hit, then you should be able to kill him pretty easy. There's those explosive barrels next to them, and if you can get those to blow up, which is a little bit difficult to do with the regular arrows, then those will make a huge explosion and do a ton of damage to those guys. But for the most part, I wouldn't really worry about that. You could probably take them out okay on your own, and just try to make sure they don't shoot you with any rocks or anything. If you want, you could try to hit them in the face with arrows again, but I would not recommend doing what I'm doing and wasting your arrows, because they might be a little bit plentiful early in the game. Later on, they're going to be a little bit tougher to get. Okay, well, no, they're never hard to get, but it's just going to be inconvenient, because you're always going to run out of arrows when you don't want to. But you know, when you kill a few enemies, you can buy them from people too. Enemies will drop them, so you'll always have arrows. You just don't want to waste them, because you'll always wish you had them when you really want them, if that makes any sense. So in these camps, if you defeat the enemies and clear them out, sometimes a chest will open up on top of something, maybe it's under something, and the chest usually has useful things inside of it. Like I said in the previous video, we're going to be spending a lot of our time just picking up everything that drops from these guys, whether it's weapons until we have full inventories of weapons and shields. We also want to get their arrows and all the monster parts that they drop. The monster parts that they do drop can be used in making elixirs, which is going to be absolutely necessary a little bit later in the game, but not for now. And it's also really useful to have a ton of monster parts to sell, because you're not going to need like 50 bokoblin horns. You're going to need maybe a few of them just to do what we got to do for the main quest, and you can sell those other 40 for quite a bit of rupees and buy some armor if you need it. We're also going to be spending a little bit of time cooking here, and for the most part I'm going to do this off screen except for a boss fight. I'll talk about preparation for cooking that we'll be doing for boss fights, but for the most part I will do this off screen just because cooking it's a little bit time consuming, especially when we have a ton more materials. But you can see here, if you go to a specific food that you've made, you can see its recipe, and that'll let you know in case you forget what materials you need to make it again. Cooking is always better than eating raw. It will almost always give you more hearts, and if you have something like a stamella mushroom, when you cook that mushroom, then that stamella mushroom will allow you to have a stamina boost when you eat it. So right down here, I don't know if these will be here all the time. There's a couple of these Hyrule bass, and you're going to want to catch as many as you can, so try to drop in on them. They'll swim away from you, and they're kind of difficult to catch, but try not to stay in the water for too long. If you run out of stamina, you will drown, and you'll have to jump in and swim over again. So we're just going to come up here, and we're going to need that bass for a couple of videos by now. If you end up not getting a bass, it won't be too big of a deal. There's other ways to get through the challenge we'll be doing, but for now, just to keep this video a little bit easier, let's just head straight to the shrine and activate it. So these shrines, as I said, I think in the first video, they act kind of as the heart containers, but each one is a puzzle on its own. Some of these shrines will allow you to go straight to the guy, to the monk, to get the reward from it, but that usually means you solve a puzzle in the overworld. Other ones, like this shrine, which are really easy to get to, will have a puzzle inside the shrine before you can get the reward from the monk. And the reward is this Hyrulean orb, or I keep forgetting what the name of it is. We'll learn it here when the guy gives it to us. And as I said before, it acts as a heart container, so you get 4 of them, and you get 1 heart, and that's kind of the replacement for scattering them throughout Hyrule, I guess. There are over 100 of these shrines in Breath of the Wild. It is kind of insane. There is no way I'm going to make videos of every single one of them, so I'm probably just going to end up making videos of the ones that are on the way to the places that we're going. You're going to want to come here because we're going to want the extra stamina that these can give you, we're going to want the extra hearts that these can give you, and they can also just give you, you know, just a health boost sometimes. If you're low on hearts, you go to a shrine, it'll give you full health, and they're a lot of fun. It's kind of a nice break from killing monsters, even though there are sometimes monsters inside of here. Now these first shrines that we'll be going to are going to give us these runes. So you can see all of our squares are empty, we got to fill them up with powers, and the first one is Magnesis. This will be able to magnetize anything that is magnetizable, and is probably the most extensively used one of these runes, except for the bombs that we'll be getting, I believe, in the next video or soon after that. So as you see here, you just got to aim it and move around these plates, and then you'll be able to jump on down and come into the water here, but probably stay out of the water, and then walk over here. And that was kind of just the beginning of this place. Each of these shrines is going to have chests and also a bunch of other random obstacles you're going to have to do. Some of these shrines are pretty dang difficult until you realize, oh, that's how I do it. Other shrines aren't really so difficult at all. The other thing with Magnesis, it can be a little bit helpful in taking out enemies sometimes, if you can actually line up the magnetized object and drop it on them. Other times it's not so helpful. Now that was a mini guardian. I don't actually know what that thing was called. I once again forgot. I'll learn again later, I'm sure. I'll remember as soon as this video ends. And you can either go up and whack it with your sword like normal, or as I did there, if you push A right before the beam of light it shoots at you hits your shield, you can deflect the beam back at it, which kills it in one hit. So that's one way to take him out. It does take a little bit of practice, and I think it damages your shield if you miss, but you know, it's not too bad to learn. It's always better to die now than later, I feel. So this game really is just a huge experience of learning curves, and once you get around those learning curves, then it's really not too difficult at all. So I did miss a chest in this place, I think. It's up there to the left, probably because I didn't notice it when I was recording it, and of course I noticed it in the video. If you want to get that chest, you just have to use that plate that's behind us to walk up there. You might need to bring over one of those metallic squares, one of those metallic cubes, so you can actually stack it up, but you can go get that chest if you want. The chests are usually mini challenges in themselves just because they're out of the way, and most of the time you can go straight to this monk to get the reward, and that is a lot easier than trying to get all the chests. When I see them, I will try to get the chests, because this is a walkthrough, so I'm going to try my best to get everything that I see. But if I miss one, then it's not really a big deal. Most of the rewards inside of the chests are going to be weapons, and if I'm already full inventory, I might not pick them up anyway. Same with shields or bows, unless it's something useful like arrows, because arrows, like I said, are a little bit harder to come by, or you have to pay a lot of rupees to get them, and especially arrows like bomb arrows, which are extremely valuable. Those ones are nice to get from chests, but I can't remember any. Spirit orbs is what they're called. Anyway, I can't remember any specific chest that has a ton of bomb arrows in it. So anyway, the spirit orb is what you get, and these are the replacements for the heart containers. So 4 of these will give us a heart, or 4 of them will increase our stamina vessel by 1/5. So if you have 20 of these spirit orbs, you can get a whole new stamina wheel, which I don't totally recommend just, you know, getting a double stamina wheel. I'd recommend getting 2 extra add-ons to your stamina wheel, and then the rest of them are hearts for the rest for the rest of the game. We're not really going to need much more stamina than about 1.5 wheels for really anything, especially once we go for some of the climbing gear that will be a little bit later. So the rest of this video is going to be a little bit boring. I'm not too sure what else I do. I guess I'll look through there and find out. Let me just glance through this. Okay, a lot of this is just talking. So, yeah, the rest of this video is going to be pretty boring. I'm going to stop talking here, at least for me. It's going to be boring for me to talk over. The game isn't boring. Anyway, I'll stop talking now, and I will continue on in the next video.
Hmm.